telling me before that you had to make adjustments even with lifts in your shoes and things
Right.
like that. Tell me some of the other things adjustments you had to make.
Well, when I was a child, my mother had to hem my skirts all the time because I was crooked then. I was never able to button a sweater this way, there was always a button off. Um, I guess toward the end it was getting painful. I'd have to, not painful all the time, but I didn't have the stamina that I do now.
Well, and you were telling me, that when it really hit you, you said it was that trip to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what it was about that trip, what you saw.
Well, when we were there, they were videoing, and I saw myself walking with a lift, and it was quite pronounced. And I saw myself leading with my right hip, and I never felt that or realized that.
When Dr. Geck saw the curve and the twist, when he was explaining to you about your age and the cutoff.
Yeah, and the age, he just said that the cutoff, he said, I wouldn't do it past age 68. Because it's a real strain on the body. And with my age, then you have things like osteopenia, and then I guess, he didn't say this, but I thought, would the screws hold? But,
well, and one thing I thought was interesting, what did you think about your age and going into a surgery like this?
I don't know how to say that because I've never had a surgery. So maybe it was just that the fear of the unknown, I think, is the big thing that took me so long to make that decision.
And how did Dr. Geck describe what he was going to do? And tell me exactly what you have in your back, how many rods and screws and...
Well, he's very forthright in what he was saying. And so they put in, I had shrunk to about 5'2", and I was 5'4", and I shrunk to 5'2", this big thing sticking out. And he said that they would put in 2 rods, and there are 11 vertebrae that have 2 screws in them each, so there's 22 screws in there. And the thought of that, and I have no idea what I would feel like afterwards. Would I feel these rods? What could I not do? What could I do? Even though he reassured me that in a couple of months I could walk to the mailbox, and and right now I can do almost everything. I cannot bend down on the floor to get something under the chair because my back is rigid, halfway down. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to. I guess not. But that's okay.
I was going to say, it seems
It doesn't bother me.
Describe what it's like now after your surgery. We'll fast forward, it's been a year and a half or so?
Year and a half.
A year and a half. What is life like now? You seem so active.
Well, I've made it a point to be active and to stay active by doing the exercise regimen that I do, and going to line dancing, and mentoring and teaching and doing the different things that I do, because if you go through this, you don't want to get old too quickly.
So you're taking advantage of and really kind of living it up, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the line dancing. Did you ever think in a million years?
No.
So what do you do? How often do you go?
Well, we go twice a week. One at the senior center, one down here on Manchac, and then one in East Austin. And it's for about an hour and a half. And then I'm sure we get our 10,000 steps in that way. And it's so much fun. And I guess I never thought I would do that because I'm a classically trained musician. I teach violin. So did I ever think that I would do Western line dancing? But it's fun.
And do you and your husband go out even, besides the lessons, do you go out to other places around town to line dance, or do you pretty much...
Well, there's a place that they do have the senior line dancing up in North Austin, but I have a commitment on Friday nights, so we haven't yet.
So tell me what your experience was like with Dr. Geck and his office staff in terms of explaining things to you and just your overall experience there.
Well, I think that he, like I said, he was so forthright. He was so considerate, and I think he has the best uh, beds, tableside manner or whatever, because he could tell I was scared, but he used some levity, because I can be sarcastic too, and so we would sarcastic back and forth, but he made me then feel comfortable about my decision.
What is it like when people see you now, say they haven't seen you in a while, and
Yeah.
they see you, what do they say?
Wow. How do you feel? Aren't you glad you did it? And my husband especially, he was nicely encouraging me to do this, but he had to let me come to the decision. People, when we first met with a group that we meet with monthly, I towered 2 inches above some of the other little short ladies. And it was kind of fun. Woo! I said, you can do this too and get 2 inches taller.
So
but not really.
Did you have to get new clothes and things like that with because you said you had to make adjustments with your hems and buttons and all that? So
I'm in the process, because I lost a lot of weight too, but that's okay. So I'm in the process of getting clothes and learning how to shop, because it is amazing when you have this, how you shop differently. There's certain cuts that you want to not to emphasize this, and so now I can just have these real, really skin tight, well, at my age, but real form-fitting clothes, and not look like that, and feel comfortable.
Yeah, that must be such a treat for you to be able to do that.
Yes, it is.
So for somebody that's, say, over 50, and they think, I can't have this done, and I've been living like this my whole life anyway, what would you say to them?
Be in good health, and you can do it. And the best part not the best part, but I was really reassured when, in the preparation of this, I had to go to the pulmonologist, the cardiologist, the stress test, the this, the that. He was just very, very exacting on what I had to do. And so once I asked him, I said, would you do this to your mother? And he said, if she would quit smoking. And so, and I'm in real good health, so I've always been in good health. So, A-okay, A-okay. And so then
That's amazing.
I was still scared.
So what are you doing? Are you doing anything more now than you weren't able to do before? I mean, it sounds like you traveled quite a bit anyway. But is there well, obviously you picked up line dancing. Is there anything else?
Well, I'm doing an exercise program, but a lot of it has to do with when I retired. Also, when I retired, because when you're working all day long, you really don't have the opportunity. So yeah, I do my exercise. I go to the gym and I do the line dancing, and then we have just all sorts of different things like that.
Well, that is wonderful to see that you're such a great success story. It is. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you think is important to include?
I'm not sure, but I have a little story, and I was going to tell you. When I went and decided in February, so this was scheduled for August because of the double surgery, and so a couple months later I was getting a little anxious, and I go to him and say, if there's an opening earlier, can I go earlier? And he said, oh, you who was never going to do this, ever, ever, ever. And so, so I was looking forward to it, because the waiting time was just too much for me.
Amazing that you lived with it for 65 years, but then once you realized that there was a solution out there.
Yeah, and this is, the 4th generation of this operation. The reason I didn't have it as a child, it was the year in a body cast, flat on your back. Now that, and I don't know what the other 2 generations are, but it's amazing to see what medicine has done. And I wonder, of course, the earlier you catch this, or you do something about it, the better it is. So a younger person can not have to live through this, but at my age, I don't think that I could have done it earlier. I wouldn't want to live in a body cast as a child for a year, unless you just had to.
Don't you feel pretty lucky that you were connected with Dr. Geck?
Oh, yeah. You don't walk the dog walks you.